Welcome to another episode of the Daily Pour. My name is Raj Patel, also known as the Bourbon Guru. Namaste. The festival of Christmas is in the air. The Patel household is well decorated by my wife Jackie. The elves have been visiting us now. You can see they're having a special fun time with Spider Man. But let's move to the important topic of bourbon. Today, we're going to talk about rye whiskey. Why rye whiskey? Think about the history of bourbon. Think about back 300-400 years ago when the settlers first came to the United States. What did they bring with them? They brought with them the distilling process. Settlers from Scotland, Ireland brought in the process of how they made whiskey back over there. When they landed in the United States, barley did not grow on the East Coast. What grew on the East Coast was rye whiskey. Another thing that didn't grow on the East Coast was corn that you find in today's whiskey. So back in the day when the settlers settled in the East Coast, they replaced barley with rye. So they kept 10 to 20% of barley and the rest was rye. And that's where rye whiskey came from. Later, as the settlers moved out west, they moved to current day Kentucky, which back then was still Virginia. The American Indians were growing corn. Rye did not grow there in that environment. So what did we do? We replaced rye with corn. So today you have bourbon, more than 50% corn, but every bourbon has rye and barley. We can talk about the wheat in a different episode. But as you can see, we've kept the tradition of barley in making bourbons and whiskeys. Why did I pick Sazerac? I am personally not a big fan of rye whiskeys, to be honest, but I did like the Sazerac rye whiskey, even though it was at 90 proof. But I was very excited a couple months ago. Buffalo Trace, who is one of the entities of Sazerac, released the 125 proof Sazerac rye. I think this was a great addition to the Sazerac rye edition. I think a number of my bourbon friends love this new higher proof rye. I think it really changes everything. So we were down at the distillery, I want to say about a month ago, and that's when they started releasing this. I bought this bottle for $49 at the distillery. It's a great uh, rye whiskey for the price. I have not seen it in Michigan yet, but I'm hoping that it'll be here soon. So again, 125 proof rye. We're going to do a little tasting of that. I am going to do it with a box of chocolates that I got from my friends at Sensei. Sensei is a company, a cybersecurity company that I've been involved with from the beginning. If you're a small business, need help with cybersecurity, definitely contact Sensei. Here's my Sensei glass that's personalized with my name. So I think it's fitting that I give them a little bit credit in this episode also. So let's try this. One thing to note is the difference in color. The 90 proof original rye is lighter. This one's much darker, again, because water has now been added and it's a higher proof. So again, sometimes it's difficult to feel the smells of a rye whiskey, but yep, definitely the peppery. There's a little bit initial, just a touch hint of woodiness, but then it really dissolves. There's a little bit of citrusy effect in it, but again, it's a great rye whiskey. Like I told you earlier, I'm not a big fan of rye, but this is a rye that I do enjoy, and I'm glad that Sazerac released the 125 proof. So let's try this with chocolate. Again, thanks to Sensei for sending me this chocolate for the holidays. I'm going to try milk chocolate and see what it does to the flavors. Hmm. That was really interesting because the chocolate changes the front, but in the middle, the rye spice gets really um, deep, and you can really feel it. Um, and then on the back end, it's more of a sweeter, citrusy tasting. So that was a really interesting change in flavor. Let's try this again. Yeah, that in the middle, normally the spiciness comes more in the end and the burn, but the middle part, there isn't a burn, but that spice flavor is just go right up there, which is strange. You think chocolate would bring a more of a leathery flavor to it, but I think you should try this next time you have different whiskeys, with a rye whiskey or bourbon. Have a piece of chocolate and see what it does to the palate. So again, this was a great experience. Thank you for joining me, and cheers.